guys, Traci Lynn Cowan here with Hollywood Vibe Entertainment, and we have with us, we are actually in Vegas. It's Olympia weekend. How exciting. We're down here seeing all the festivities, the expos going on. There's live action. We've got with us Tom Terwilliger. So welcome. It's exciting. I didn't even have to sing your last name.
No, you didn't. But you had plenty of practice earlier with the operatic sort of style. But you got it without having to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
But you think that I should actually probably maybe sing it just so?
I think just to make sure you've got it locked in.
Terwilliger.
There it is.
Hey, I practice it. I might as well do it, right? Tom, you are an extraordinary man. So, I mean, Mr. America, you're an author, you're an inspirational, motivational teacher, speaker, leader in the fitness and health industry.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you've got a few years behind your belt, and what a great, story that you have. And let's talk about a little bit about Mr. America, when that was and how that time of your life was.
Well, it's interesting because when I first started bodybuilding, I was this really skinny kid, back when I was 13, 14, 15, I was like the skinniest teenager you ever saw. I was really into Bruce Lee though, because that was the time of the Kung Fu. And I'd been studying Kung Fu for about 8 years or so, even before the whole Kung Fu craze started. Mm-hmm. I was cool in Kung Fu before Kung Fu was cool, all right? That's what I'm trying to tell you.
All right, we're buying it.
At 8 years old, right? How cool can you be? But then I stepped into a real gym. It was called Future Man Gym. It was in Amityville, Long Island. You know the Amityville Horror, remember that movie? Well, that's like right around the block from it. But it was the real Amityville Horror House because it was one of the most hardcore. I've been training now, for almost 40 plus years, and it's one of the toughest, coolest places I've ever been was Future Man Gym. And when I walked in, there was a guy named Steve Mahala training, and Steve was the Mr. America at that time.
Okay.
And he was being photographed, and he was training, and he was gritty. He had this like just ripped up white beater tank, and he just looked like a meth. But I looked at as a 15-year-old kid, I looked at that guy and I said, my God, is that possible? How is a human being could look like that?
Yes.
And it was just bam, in that instant, it was just like, man, I found out he was Mr. America. So the goal became almost instantaneous. Mm-hmm. I rode my bike back down there the next day, joined that gym. My first workout, I puked my guts up, and it was an indoctrination. It was great. It was awesome.
And you loved it ever since.
I did. So that was the dream. That's where the dream began right there. And as someone told me at that time, someone took me aside and said, kid, listen, what's your goal? I want to be Mr. America. It's going to take you 10 years. You got to work out every single day. You got to diet. You got to eat this. You got to eat tons of cans of tuna. Back in the day, that's all we ate, right? and it's going to take 10 years. I probably would have got back on that bike and just hightailed my ass out of there. Yeah. For sure.
Absolutely.
But as it turns out, no one warned me, and the next 10 years passed, and that's just about how long it took.
Amazing. How was that journey? I mean, bodybuilding is, such a unique sport, and it's not for everybody. But, when you fall in love with it like you did, and I can relate to it too, it's just that thing. It becomes your life, and it becomes your lifestyle. And obviously it's ingrained in you until today because, you're still in phenomenal shape. How do you stay in shape still to this degree? Phenomenal.
Well, it's interesting because I see a lot of my contemporaries, and unfortunately I don't think they've put as much effort into it later on in life, and I think it's so important because as much as if we can take any credit for inspiring anyone like Steve Mahalik inspired me during that process of developing the body and ultimately competing, and I know there were young people that were inspired. I think we should continue to do that today because I think there are too many people in their 40s, 50s, 60s that have sort of given up on life, you might say, or at least a big part of it. Yeah. And I think being able to be within striking distance and doing whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, for the most part, not only takes wealth, but it takes energy. It takes physiology. And if you don't keep yourself in good shape, not only can you miss out on a lot of those important things that are fun. I live in Colorado. We do tons of stuff. We mountain bike, we hike, we ski, we do all these things. Right. And at 58 years old, some of that can wind up being limited unless I stay in great shape. Yeah. Plus, honestly, I just want to feel good about myself, and part of that process is built into my DNA at this point. That feeling really good about myself in terms of my self-esteem is built around that physiology, staying in good shape and exercising on a regular basis. So
absolutely. When did you win your title, Mr. America?
1986.
All right.
And it's interesting because it was just at that time. And it's fascinating we're doing this interview today because yesterday I was at an AAU bodybuilding event. Yeah. And they haven't held an AAU bodybuilding event in some time. It's really just beginning to take root again, you might say. Yeah. And so at the time when I won in '86, the NPC National Physique Committee and the AAU, the Amateur Athletic Union, had split off, you might say.
Yeah.
So it was still a Mr. America contest I was competing in and won, but they were calling it the National Bodybuilding Championship now. The NPC National Bodybuilding Championship. So I won it in almost that first year, which was 1986.
Yeah.
Damn, when I hear that, I'm like, whoa, that's like a while ago.
It's okay though, like you say, look at you today. I mean, and the energy and enthusiasm still for this sport is just, I mean, it's so great to see because not a lot of people do keep this up. And, you know, having said that, let's talk about the award that you received yesterday. You know, it's one of those things to be recognized for your fitness and all the things that you've accomplished in your life. But to receive an award like this, let's go ahead and grab it and bring it over and let's talk about that. Tell us a little bit about this award that you received yesterday.
Well, this is the AAU Amateur Athletic Union, right? And it's it was at the World Bodybuilding and Figure Fitness Championship yesterday. It took place here in Vegas. Coinciding with the Mr. Olympia competition.
Yes.
And they had called me down. I was coming down for the Olympia anyway, and they had called me and said, listen, we'd like to give you an award.
Okay.
And what they call the Legends Award, the AAU Legends Award. And I said, wow, that sounds pretty cool. I like it. I said, what's the prerequisite? Why have I earned that right? They said, well, you have to be over 50, still alive, and accomplish something along the way. So we want to give you one. So I said, okay. And humbled as always, I arrived and certainly bigger than I thought. It was just going to be a little sheet of paper that they could have mailed me at some point. But now I got to lug this thing onto the airplane. It's going to be quite the challenge, I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, you got to hold that proud. That's amazing to be recognized again. Like, congratulations to you, Tom, because you obviously earned this. You deserve it. And to keep that legacy going. And, you know, one thing about this sport in this industry is that we don't realize how many people we do inspire along the way. You are an inspirational and motivational speaker and also a leader in the health and wellness industry, and people look up to you and admire you. And you know, as it was your dream as a young boy, now you have all these younger millennials looking up to you. And seeing you receive an award like this at 58 years young is remarkable. And we're so proud to be able to, and honored to be able to speak to you about your journey. And let's talk a little bit about your book as well.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the things is that I've always believed in is the pursuit of achievements. And it doesn't have to be for achievement's sake in itself, but rather as a way of manifesting our own magnificence as human beings. I mean, man, I believe we were created to accomplish, to achieve, to honor, and to be the best we can be. Yeah. And I think so many people just, kind of not pay much attention to that. So for me, it's always been important to share what I learned along the way. I mean, literally from the very beginning, from the moment I walked into that gym, had my first, not so great workout that first day at Future Man, and then everything along the way. And so not only what I've learned, but also what I've been taught by others as well. Certainly, there's so many great motivational speakers and trainers out there. We both have worked with several of them. And so the book, 7 Rules of Achievement, is based on what I've learned along the way and what I applied as well. That's the most important thing. Because, it's one thing to write goals down, right?
Yeah.
This is like it's like success or achievement 101 is write your goal down. Yeah. But there's so much more to it. It's how you write it down. It's where you write it down, the language you use, how you internalize that along the way, understanding what resources you have in order to achieve that. Because let's just say you don't have a college degree and your goal is to get a college degree and you think you're just going to skyrocket right to that. I want my master's degree, I want my PhD, but you haven't achieved your high school diploma yet. Yeah. So first step, so know what resources you have and what resources you're going to need in order to achieve that and where you are in the process as well. So the 7 rules are based on that process. Sure, it begins with identifying what you want, ultimately embodying why you want it. And if it's not a very compelling reason, there's a good chance that some of those obstacles, because there's going to be many, a lot of challenges and obstacles, will stop you along the way. So you've got to be really clear on why. And then ultimately the additional rules along the way that help you overcome those obstacles and hopefully make it to your objective or something greater. Yeah. And again, we've all heard this. It's like success and achievement isn't necessarily about the destination. It's about that journey. Yeah. There's so many things that I've tried and failed. Yeah. But what I've learned, if you're open and receptive to what's possible, even if you don't succeed, not everybody enters a bodybuilding contest and wins. I got my butt handed to me more times than not. Yeah. But it's what I learned along the way. If you're open and receptive to that and flexible, it can make all the difference in the world in terms of your next success. That's right. Yeah, so that's really what the book's all about. And it's been, I love it because it's been a tremendous success. It was the #1 bestseller on Amazon, and we follow it up with another book as well. And it's kind of cool. It opened up a whole new door in terms of coaching and leadership training for me, and I embrace it. Yeah.
Well, we definitely have to pick up a copy of your book, so you can find it on Amazon as well.
Yes.
Okay, and the thing I liked what you said too is the language we're using. So let's break that down a little bit, because a lot of people don't understand, it's writing out the things, like writing out the goals, but, being very specific about details and being disciplined. And also having patience. Don't you find that patience is such a key to this whole, universe and this journey that we're on? And the other thing is that a lot of people don't realize, because we have this end goal in mind, and then all of a sudden something turns and twists, and so then we go, well, I didn't reach my goal, but you did reach your goal, because your goal was actually probably this in the first place. And we don't, so it's being able to adapt.
Absolutely, adapt and flexible. Yeah. And again, it's interesting, because the language should be specific around that. Not only specific around the objective itself, and the more you distill that down, the better. Wanting to be rich, it's a very unaccomplishable goal, because number one, you haven't really defined it. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Does that mean you have $10 million in the bank? What is your net worth? What is it? I mean, all of that should be as specific as possible, so you understand it. And then you can take a look at the resources needed. But also, just something as simple as present tense versus future tense. Because when we write our goals in I will, it's, hey, listen, it's certainly 99.9% better than not writing a goal at all, not having any objective. But I will be a millionaire. I will win the Mr. America. The brain has a way of looking at future tense and dismissing it a little bit as something we'll get to. We'll get to it later on. What's important right now? What's the thing that's most compelling in this moment? Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to make our objectives language-wise, from a linguistics perspective, something that alerts the brain, stimulates the reticular activator, and just moves us towards it every second of the day, because it is the most important thing, bar anything else. So, and you can program. There's many ways to program it, but certainly one of the easiest is just to create a present tense goal. That I am versus I will. So think about when you write your goal, rewrite it in a way that talks about it is now. It's happened already. It's happening in the present moment. And all of a sudden your mind starts to move towards it without you even realizing it's starting to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad that you shared that with everybody, because that's so important. Will is kind of hoping, wishing, and I am a certainty. Yes. And that's the thing about it. It's always being grateful for it. Every morning, that's the one thing I learned, and it's happened over the last year so much more. I am. Thank you for what I've just received. Thank you for this. Thank you for that, and being grateful for it, and thanking the universe and my higher power, or whatever it is, to the God of my understanding, and saying, "Hey, thank you for this, because I've already received it." And it keeps coming and coming.
Boy, Traci, you really hit on something that's so critical in this process as well, is gratitude. If you have gratitude before receiving, knowing and fully anticipating and expecting to receive, you have a much greater likelihood of receiving. Because you put yourself, and listen, there's a lot of people talk, that's all foo-foo, the whole secret and all that business. Yeah, to a great deal it is. You can't just hope for a huge bag of money to fall out of the sky and fall on your head. You have to do something to achieve it, to accomplish it. But you still have to resonate with the energy that you want to attract. And there's no better way to resonate with the energy that you want to attract, which is abundance in some way, shape, or form, right? Than to give thanks for it in advance. Appreciate it as if you've already got it. And you're fully anticipating more and more of it coming your way. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things every morning. Before I hit my feet on the floor, it's, what am I grateful for? Living in gratitude is one of the biggest blessings that any of us can live with. And, it just makes us appreciate things a lot more. And just really, I find just slowing down to appreciate life. And, you've just inspired so many people, and I'm excited to read your book. I'd like to know what the other book is called, and so where we can find that.
The other book is called Why Smart Goals May Be Dumb.
Ooh, interesting. I like
because
that.
We all use smart goals. I shouldn't say we all use smart goals. But it's certainly been the gold standard, you might say, right? And don't even ask me to explain what SMART is at the moment, but it's basically an acronym for setting your goals and objectives, right?
Yes.
Making it reachable, sustainable, all these things, right? So I think there's a couple of elements that are missing in that, and one of them is that spiritual connection to the goal, the objective. The other one is alignment with your true values, because if you're setting goals based on the SMART goals criteria that are misaligned with your values, there's a good chance somewhere along the way you will sabotage yourself in achieving that.
Absolutely.
So many people, for example, one of my greatest challenges along the way was with money, with abundance. I come from a very middle-class family. My father struggled most of the time. Worked 2 jobs. My mom worked as well. And money was never something we had an abundance of. And it was also something that struggled around. And for that reason, I heard a lot of things around money that I would call negative in my house.
Yeah.
Money's the root of all evil, so that's why we didn't have any, right?
That's right.
So overcoming that and being able to either, one, forget the goal of having financial abundance, or learn to reshape my own values and principles and change the internal language that I've got, the meaning I've got around money.
That's
So
right.
to do that, so I created something called the action goals criteria, which really covers all of those aspects. Many of the same things that are in the SMART goals criteria,
Okay.
but goes beyond that a little
Yeah.
bit in terms of making it resonate better and aligning your values with your objectives a little bit more. And, so far, it's worked pretty well.
That's good. Yeah, removing the negative attachments that are associated to certain things in your life, whether it be love, relationships, marriage, money, all the different things. And once we remove that negative attachment, we can put in a positive, and then it's money is good. Money is,
Right.
provides this for me. Money provides that for me, and it does good for me in this way, in this certain way.
Well, that's
And-
so important. It's
Yeah,
critical. And
because our thinking is, this controls everything. And so our minds are so powerful. I had a great conversation with my good friend Maria, and we were just talking about how powerful the mind is. So, whatever we're thinking, make sure we really take the time, and I love to tell this to a lot of my clients that I coach, is to really take the time to, before you say it, comes out of your mouth, you really think it through. Because words are power.
Oh man, and it's an expression of what's going on here, but it's also sending a message to what's going on here as well.
Yes.
When you say something that, you might mean it at the moment, but it doesn't serve you in terms of achieving your higher objectives and manifesting your magnificence. It doesn't serve others in being their greatest either.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea of really and ultimately, once you build a filter around this,
Yeah.
what comes out, and even what you think, because it starts first with the filter around what comes out.
That's right.
Then the filter, you have to develop a filter for what is going on inside, right? That internal language that we have. I catch myself all the time. It's just, even today, it's just, there are things that I look at and want to achieve, and the first thing that comes to my head is, you couldn't do that.
Yep.
Why couldn't I do that? Because I was the special ed kid in 4th grade and 5th grade. I'm not that same person anymore, so
Yep.
the dialogue has to change. But
Yeah.
that, I tell you, I call it in one of my coaching processes, I call it experience the leap. And it's about the process of taking a leap of faith. And it's a very powerful 4-step process. And part of it is what's called the brutal honesty. The other one is the dragon. And the dragon is this thing, is once you've been brutally honest with yourself about what you deserve, what you're capable of, and what you can accomplish in your life, right? Then all of a sudden, and you start taking action, moving towards it, then all of a sudden this thing starts to grab you by the back of the neck and drag you back. That's why I call it the dragon. And the dragon, from 4th grade, from 2nd, I don't care how old you are, if you developed some meanings around specific things that now you want to have different meanings around, or you want to achieve, or have a different feeling around, that little thing, that little dragon will come out of its lair and suddenly say, no, you can't do that. Remember, you're not smart enough. Remember, you're not good enough. Remember, you're not like them. You're different. And I had all those beliefs.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I wound up in an outlaw motorcycle club for years, because I was a 1%er. Special ed class, learning disabled, and all those challenges start to build in my mind that this is where I belong.
Yeah.
Not out there with the regular people, the smart people. I belong over here.
Yeah.
So boy, did I have to change that internal dialogue big time.
Thank you for being so transparent with us and opening up with us here today. And it's so great to see you again. And congratulations on your award and all your accomplishments in life. Where do we find you on social media so we can follow you?
Well, you can find me at Tom Terwilliger. That's certainly the most.
Terwilliger.
Yeah. And online, you can find me at maxmindset.com. Maxmindset.com. But before we go, I want to just say, I want to compliment you on the work you're doing.
Thank you very
And
much.
the way you, again, also, you're such an inspiration in terms of how you stay in shape, how well you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
And most importantly is what you're doing for others in terms of inspiring them as well. You're not. This isn't just about Traci. This isn't the Traci show.
Yeah.
This is
Thank
the
you,
you
John.
show, and I get that with everything you do. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. We are excited. Follow this man, read his books, and we will see you guys later. Thanks for joining us today.
You got a shoulder workout, didn't you?
Yeah,
Something.
she.
I've got a torn rotator cuff in 3
Oh,
places,
no.
and I forgot that, and so it started to shake.
Oh, I know. I was like,
And
I
I was
saw
just-
your pain.
Oh, you were like.